You're sure that it will become implanted in your memory, and you will not forget it. We'll discuss this more tomorrow, which should be zechet, to be kind in it, so he will allow it to study Torah, and to fulfill the Torah, shleimus of Talmud Torah, learning Torah, and also the dinner of the Seder Torah is Sforim. There's a special mitzvah on every person to own, to be the owner of Sforim. Person that has Sforim in his house, even if he's not a bad Uriel, not capable of learning Sforim with that depth. So people are not raised, they want to give them the opportunity to learn Gemara, for example. They can only read Chumash. Gemara to them is a sefer which is strange. At best, like a Rebbe, they can learn it by themselves, it will be pupil. Still, it's a mitzvah for a person to own these Sforim, even the deepest one. Arizal sefer, Arizal said that persons who cannot learn his sefer at all, on that level, just having that sefer lying, standing in the closet, in the bookcase, itself is a big schus for the person. It's a protection for the person. It's a schus. Because to be the owner of Sifrei Kodesh is a very important item. A person should have Sforim. A person should have a library of Sforim. And that serves a number of purposes. First place, if you lend somebody a sefer, it's considered a tzedakah in itself, a higher degree of tzedakah than lending money. Because there is tzedakah and there's eternal tzedakah. This is called eternal tzedakah. One who buys Sforim and he lends it to others to learn, that's a tremendous mitzvah. So especially too, in a very simple sense, a person who has Sforim in the house, when it's a home that's a Jewish home, you have guests, visitors. Invariably, when you have a group talking, the right kind of a group, they always turn to Divrei Torah. Talking Divrei Torah is they never see eye to eye. It's impossible. Two Jews never see eye to eye. That's why the Gemara, you find when you learn the Mishnah, one rabbi says this, second rabbi says that. Why don't you we all agree? No. They say that the first one is called a Tanakh. First Tana, the second one is the second, which one is smarter between the two? The Tanakh is much smarter than this. The Tanakh has to figure out what to say. The second one just says the opposite. The Tanakh says, you said this, I say the opposite. No matter what you said. This is not meant seriously, but in a sense, that's the Gemara says that's the nature. It's the nature that people are going to learn. Two Jews are down to learn, somehow their minds will work on different channels. They'll disagree in a certain way, they'll fight, they'll battle. The end, of course, they'll agree. The end, they'll come to a point where they'll agree. Where were you before? How come you argue before? That's the nature of Torah. So, Vila, you have a group of people assembling in anybody's home. They start talking Torah. No matter how smart they are, I see some machilis. They've got to check what they're saying. They want to check. Rambam says this. Let's see the Rambam. This is the Gemara. Let's see it. If they're in a house, there's a bookcase with Sforim, it's a pleasure. Oh, let's take out a Gemara. You feel differently when you're in a house which doesn't have these Sforim. Because you want to say something, you want to check something, it's just not there to check. You want to see Halacha, Mishnah. Every house is supposed to have certain basic Sforim. Other Sforim, some people have, I've seen cases people have libraries of Sforim. Tremendous libraries, they have wall-to-wall libraries. It's very picturesque. It's sort of untouched. It's like a mural on a wall. It stays there. Others have small ones, occasionally some smaller, but they use. One we constantly use. So the pshat is that a person doesn't have these big, tremendous libraries, which are nice also. It's also covered with Sforim. People have a feeling, a chushin. They enjoy buying Sforim. It's a very good quality. Enjoy having Sforim. But at least if a person learns only a limited amount of Sforim, he should have the basics. What is the basics like? The Mishnah Gemara, the Shulchan, naturally, Arizal Svarim, all of them, everyone is Svarim, that to have a mother in his house. I knew one who couldn't learn, but to him it was a pleasure and a joy. He couldn't, he's not a rabbi, he doesn't have learning, he was done with the yeshiva. It was the greatest pleasure. He had a rich home, and he had set aside a very fancy bookcase. The pleasure to watch, just to see these shots. He had a shot. See those Gemaras, it was a pleasure. If somebody came to his house, and they would use one of his Gemaras, I mean, the biggest nachas. That was a real, true Kavod HaTorah. We should be zeichet to be honest with Kavod HaTorah Knesha, because Kavod HaTorah is Kavod Hashem. Great. God was sick and great. Sick in the fall is the biggest boost. Certainly is extra credit. We're coming to the Sikhin on Sunday. It's a day when day of rest. A day when everyone comes to rest. We have funerals usually on Sunday. So everything comes to a standstill. And those who defy that rule, not early in the morning, God was thinking, extra special credit. Sorry about a couple who promised yesterday. They swore by the beard of Arizal they'd be here on time today. Learning the halachas of learning Torah, and respect for the Sfar, Sifrei Kodesh. In learning Torah, the Gemara tells us that there are two things involved in the study of Torah. One is understanding it. It's Havana, understand. The second is remembering it. Remember what you learned. So this requires a brain. This is the first requirement. You need a special type of brain that's equipped with these two distinctly different capabilities. They're both very different, because you can have a very sharp brain with a little perforation. Extremely sharp brain, very pointy. There's a hole in the bottom of it, and this brain takes in everything. It just seeps right out. You have another brain that's pretty dull, but it's a very thick bottom, so it's hard to get something in it. Once it gets in it stays. This requires two different types of talents. One, sharpness of mind, to understand deeply, that's called charifus. The other, to retain. Remember, this is what the Gemara classifies as Sinai Yekehorim. Sinai is like Mount Sinai, which contains the whole Torah. That means one remembers whatever he learns. He has a lot of information. In other words, Yekehorim, his mind is like a pickaxe to rip up mountains, very sharp. But it doesn't retain that much. The Gemara says that in order to develop these brains, work on development. You could develop a sharpness of mind by simply continually plugging away and studying Torah. The dullest, thickest piece of metal, if you rub constantly against stone, becomes as sharp as a blade. It becomes the sharpest blade. The dullest mind, if you keep on sharpening it, studying, learning, penetrating, will become a sharp mind too. That is possible for anybody. There's no exception to that rule. Unless a person completely lacks a brain, I'm not speaking about first or second class law. It's fine with the third class. They are still able to rectify any shortcomings. However, the Gemara says that when it comes to memory, that already a brain doesn't help. That means exercising the brain doesn't help memory. Because that requires, you have a person who's study a whole lifetime, into his life asking what he learned, and he'll say, covered shots a number of times, he covered different sort of, what do you recall? Can you quote anything from the Gemara you learned? His mind is a blank. Whatever he learned, he forgot. There's a very sharp talent there too. In that respect, he's perfect. He gets everything. He's a very high batting average of forgetting shikha. So, he goes, this requires, what do you do for a shikha? Studying doesn't help. Torah does not help, Shekha Tefillah helps. That's the connection. Was remembering and cleaning, that is a blessing from heaven. So there, if for sharpness of mind, studying, continue studying, helps to develop a sharp mind, for attentive memory, remember what you learned, remembering the tefillah that give you this blessing from heaven. You know, it says, however, we're not speaking about extremes. One of the regular cases, a person learns, and he wants to remember fairly well what he learned. We're not speaking about usual memory or usually weak memory. A person wants to at least, certainly there are ways to improve one's memory. You cannot perfect it, let's say, without you can improve it. What are ideas that will help a person to do? You notice that basically the most important rule, if you really are sincere, you want to do what you learned, one thing that could help, it does help, that is basic and leading point in memory. And that is the story with Brunia, the wife of Rabbi. Rabbi was the greatest rabbi, chief rabbi at that time. He was so sharp. He was one of the two greatest students of the Akiva. The Akiva had many Talmidim, of course. These two were the main ones, Rabbi and Shimon Yechoizah. Rabbi was so great that his mind was above that of the Talmidim at that time. As great as he was, his wife was also that sharp. A wife, a woman who knows Gemara. Not just she knew Gemara. But the students, the rabbis at that time, the rabbis, the Rabbi's students, Rabbi's colleagues, the chief rabbi's men, used to come to Rabbi's house to ask questions to learn, and they feared. They had a tremendous fear, panic, when they walked across the threshold, because if she would say a word to them, they'd melt. Whenever she had a tongue that could literally destroy them, not insulting as a show, but knowledge, sharpness, Gemara, greater even than, more superior than all the minds of the rabbis at that time. So she would pulverize them in learning. For example, one rabbi once met her, he was going to the city of Lud. He said to her, which path should I take to go to Lud? He thought to himself, there's a wife up there, very kind. She won't, what could I be doing wrong with this? He was very careful. Which path should we take to go to Lud? He said. That's not the yeshiva to learn, you know what? So she looked at him and she said, you dash shaita, Laura. Didn't you learn? Don't you know Gemara? What did I do that? Mishnah says a great level is Al-Tarbe Sicha Idoisha. Don't talk too much to a woman. Too much? Why have you worried about the moon? She said, you should have said the Azel Lud. Which to Lud? You added a few extra words. What on? That's how she would destroy them. It's an extra place the Gemara says. The Gemara says that one rabbi was learning, and she kicked him, not literally, of course, kicked him with a word like a sword, like a boot that kicks. He's learning, but she kicked him. And she came by, she was a good mashkiach. Well, they had to learn, you know, she put the shade. And she said to her, you're learning zero. I mean, you're going to forget. You want to remember what you're learning? That's advice. We got advice on Umadah. But not anger, this is Luya. The Gemara, of course, gives that advice first. The Gemara says that if you want to remember what you learned, the word, explain this a little better, deeper. The word for shikha, the word shikha is the word aflisha, darkness. Shikha means forgetfulness. Forget, it's darkness. Obvious. If it's dark, you don't see anything. You forget. When there's light, then it's light means clear. Remember. So,
It's very simple logic. A person reads the words. He's learning Gemara. Gemara, any part of it, he reads it instead of speaking it, like reading out a newspaper. You would ever see a person read a newspaper like this here. On the train, they go, look at that, not ready. He talks to himself. That's a newspaper, that's being read. Halacha is being learned. Learn means that you've got to speak the words. Why? Because if you don't speak the words, keep your mouth shut. You read, where are the words? Inside the mouth. Well, you can get anybody to go inside there, it's dark in there. The mouth is closed, it's very dark inside there. The words remain inside, they are dark. Very sharp words. We just said to this rabbi, Sach Picha, Ya'ido Dvarecha. Open your mouth, speak, and give light to your words. Let your words shine. Give light to it, but no more shikha, you won't forget it. The key to memory, study of Torah is, when you learn with your mouth, with your voice. You must give voice to it. Don't read it, learn it. Speak the words out. As you pronounce them, they become inscribed in your memory. At least to a much greater extent, far greater extent, than reading. If you just read alone, they just pass right out, pass away. Before they come to life, they're already dead. This way, at least they have a chance to live, remain inside your memory. The Gemara says too, still better, this is a custom, an old custom of Jews. You really want to have the Torah remain with you, speak it, raise your voice a little out loud, but give it melody. Gemara, Gemara, make it into Smidas, into a dig. This Rabbi says this way, this one says that. Why? Yes, it is because when they get in an argument, they say, you dummy, don't you understand? That's also the big, oh yeah, you dummy. You call the yeshiva, used to like that. She said, well, you're not bigger because you look at what I say, you understand. Everything was said, it was in English, it was in Jewish, anything, but still was said with a dig. And that's why I recall for today the words, you dummy. Yes. You say it out loud, you sing it, you remember to remind yourself, it stays inside, the digging itself described indelibly your memory, the words of Torah. That is the key to According to Kisha, it's much deeper than the Kabbalah, but I don't want to twist it. Anyhow, the Igad, which means effort to learn, Lamed, Lishmer Alasais, Lekayim, remember these words of Torah. You must remember them, very important for this world and Olam Haba. If, however, a person's mind is that weak, that is the good, to understand the words of Torah that he learns. Above all, he learns himself is not that good. If he attends a shiur, he listens, he doesn't fall asleep, but listens, he doesn't understand what's being said. It's too deep, it's Kabbalah places. The Torah says, Israeli Kodesh, Kirzanish, Arizal says this. Sure to the Shulchan, when a person should know, be assured that whatever you learn in this world, when you come there, you'll have with you. But you didn't understand here because of lack of understanding, you'll have over there. You'll have all that, you'll understand it well. You won't have to start from scratch. This will be part of your possession in the wealth of Torah. Therefore, a person should learn, even though he doesn't understand too well, because it will be important to have it part of his record. This attack to Chacham ben Ladas, and the Kayim above all, what we see with our eyes, this Mikdash, this Mashiach. Today is a double hint of tradition. It's also the first day of the month, first day of the first month of the year, as far as the calendar is concerned, holidays. We read the Pasha, Chedesh Hazelachem, Chedesh Chodashim. This month is the first of the months. The question of Gemara whether the world was created on this day or on the first of Tishrei. Debate with the Gemara about that. The Arizal says there's no debate. It's a question of when the decision was made and when the actual creation took place. This day is a birth of the world. Not a world, but the world. Birth of the world means also the birth of Bereshis, the beginning of creation. Bereshis is bias. Today is the birth date of Arizal. Therefore, the beginning, this is the beginning. Arizal was the beginning of a new era. It is the beginning of every person who wants to become a kusha and wants to be zocher, not to live in vain, not to waste his years away. This is the beginning of all that is good. At least the beginning of the year for Jewish holidays and celebrations, especially on the Chodesh. First meaning we have for today is that because of the fact that this was also the beginning of the Mishkan. They built the Mishkan, they renewed it. Now, the Chodesh Nisan started, and therefore a custom is that each day we read the Pasha of the Nasi, starting today. In the Siddur, read the Pasha of the Nasi, and after each day, there's a little paragraph in Yotza which we say that if we are, Nasi means the leader of each one of the 12 tribes. If we are from that tribe, then we should be zealous to all the good that is attached to it. Each day we say that. The 13th day, in honor of the ones that are not part of the 12 tribes, Shem and Levi, so we add the Haliskas and Nenais, the actual service, lighting the candles in the Mishkan, the Mikdash, and the Beneda, which is for the sake of the Shem and Levi. Everyone who is not a Kohen or a Levi should fill inside the words of fire from this tribe, that Yehutzah. If not, he should say the same Yehutzah. I should be zech to the good of that tribe, even if I'm not. Same as we say too. You should be zech to the good of these, or every one of these Shulchan. During the entire month of Nisan, we do not say any Tachman. There's no Tachman said as a sort of vacation, because until Pesach you have the Nasiim, these Pashas of the Karbonis of the Nasi. During Pesach, of course, it's a Yontif. After Pesach, although it's already a sad period, it's the time of the Sfira, 33 days of mourning, because the month itself, the majority of the month, and then with Simcha, we don't spoil the rest of the last few days. We keep the entire month in Simcha when there's no Tachman. However, though the entire month is that good, though now it's that great, still, the Chodesh Nisan in one respect has a different din, strangely, than all the other Chodesh. A person gets married on a Chodesh, on that day he does not fast. A person must fast on the day of his chuppah. If he gets married on a sort of a holiday, then he's exempt from fasting. The Chodesh is enough of a holiday. The Chassidut Kal do not fast on that day. The one exception is in Chodesh Nisan. This day is that much of an exception. It's less of a holiday in that respect. Holiday, let's stop between us. That's because this also was the day in which the sons of Aharon passed away. There's something said that happened on this day. That's why we allow fasting on this day too. We allow it, means that it's compulsory. Chassidut Kal to fast. So there's no benefit, no gain. Usually a Chassidut Kal trying to get married in a Chodesh to save themselves the fast day. And of course, some will do that and think they're getting a bargain. Which of course is the wrong way to look at it, because this Chassidut Kal, the day of their wedding, that to them is the Yom Kippur for the entire lifetime. It's a very big privilege to have that day as a fast, because the fast automatically brings Teshuva.
zeichet to keep that day pure and holy, real pure sense. You know, the Arizal himself, speaking about his birthday today, the Arizal on the day of his wedding, usually, even in those days, the chassan was with his friends, and he was sameach, happy and celebrating. On that day, the Arizal left all his friends and went out into the fields, there to involve himself to reach new heights of purity and greatness. But then he made acquaintance with Shimon Zal. Shimon Zal, the one that's buried in Sfas, the one that we went to last week, and we mentioned all your names there. Baruch Hashem. Met up Shimon Zal, and Shimon Zal was so astounded by the Arizal's words that he saw that usually a chassan has different things in mind, even those who are good. Arizal was so filled with kedusha and tara then, his whole hashkafas, outlook on life, outlook on the future. Shimon Zal, who was older, very much older then, said, I want to be zecher to be shemish. It means that you're a child, 13 years old. This is Arizal's 13th birthday. Only 13 years old, comparatively a child. I want to be zecher to be shemish you, because I know you're going to become a famous, become great in the world. And of course, how great is even a dreamer. Arizal reaches heights. In fact, he didn't know how great the Arizal was at that time either, because that's first revealed later on, where what Arizal said, this was how great Arizal was then, and Shimon Zal was there to become this kasher to Arizal at that time. So we should be zecher to become this kasher solidly, affect ourselves with this kasher. This should be a scholar chadasha for us. Let's make a good beginning, tshuva, tefillah, tzeidah, and especially those who are here now, davening with the Shulchan Nissan. Let's make this a true beginning, not an end. Let this be the beginning where you start coming steadily from now on. Let's have this million remain and increase in size as we go along. Which is able to see true success. Ruchnius, the Yashmius for the entire Klal Yisrael.
It says that of the Tariq mitzvahs,
the 613 mitzvahs that we have, there is one mitzvah at the end of the Torah Pesha, which says that it's compulsory for every Jew to write a Sefer Torah. Well, you know what the Sefer Torah today is. The price of buying a Sefer Torah today has reached proportions that are out of the reach of most people. It costs thousands of dollars today due to the different changes that took place, the wars. But at all times they ran to a couple of thousand. Today it's many thousands of dollars. The regular Sefer Torah would cost about $7,000 plus or more. That's to buy one. To write one takes a long time, takes a lot of patience, and takes a great talent. And here the Torah says that every single Jew, no exception, every man is required mitzvah to write a Sefer Torah. Gemara learns it from a posek. This was the final words of Moshe Rabbeinu. He delivered the message to the Jews just before his Estalkus. He gave them this mitzvah. Not only that, but even if a person, it's not that he has to write it in order to have one. Even he can't, just having it is not enough. Even if he inherited a Sefer Torah from his father, it still is not enough. He must still write one himself. One person cannot be made to the second. The father cannot be made to his son. If, let us say that, of course, this is understood, how many people are talented to write it, therefore there must be ways to get this mitzvah without writing it too. And the din says there are a number of ways. Number one, if a person buys a Sefer Torah, has one himself in his house, as long as he buys one, or he hires a Sefer to write one. That, of course, is not Yetz at all. But he buys one and hires a sefer to write one. In other words, he buys one that's already done, or before it's even done, he hires a sefer, he pays it by the day. Write a sefer Torah for him. But then he has this sefer, or the sefer Torah he bought, he has room left where there is still the unfinished. Sefer Torah is unfinished. A few letters at the end that are left blank, or that are partially filled in. It's not kosher yet till it has the completion of a line, a connection. And he filled it in. And it is as though he actually wrote it himself. This is Halacha and Shulchan, and it's the Fedish Halacha brought by the Rosenfeld too. Rosenfeld writes this as a matter of din, that a person, by filling in a word, a letter even, it's the same as they wrote the whole Sefer Torah. Technically, it's the same, because if there's a letter missing, a letter that's incomplete, you can't read any line of that Sefer Torah. As far as the Kriyas HaTorah, the entire Sefer Torah is unkosher. One letter is missing. The moment that one single line, one line, not a line of letters, but the one line in that one letter is filled in, it does not create that one letter, it creates the entire Sefer Torah. This is actually so. Therefore, Nosson says this means that by that one line, it's called the Magia line, you have fulfill the mitzvah of writing a Sefer Torah. You have written, and through your writing, there is now a Sefer Torah. This is a means of getting around it. Often, there is a custom that they bring a Sefer Torah to shul, the new one, there's a big celebration, called a Torah, and they usually leave over a few letters at the end of the Sefer Torah, after the Sefer is written, the Sefer Torah. Simcha. But the chuppah brings the Sefer Torah in, and leave a few letters over, and they auction off, or they sell the right to people to fill in a line each. Knowing then that every person has done something, the Magia of the Sefer Torah, to bring it to completion. When it's finished, people know that without my line, it would not have been a completed Sefer Torah. This is part of a regular ceremony, part of a very important mitzvah, this mitzvah of writing a Sefer Torah. So to this day, we still have this mitzvah. If it is possible that a person, if you see some of these shuls, people donate a Sefer Torah to a shul, very big covered, very big mitzvah too. There are some people who are specifically the Menachem for that. Baruch Hashem, we were zeichet to have, to have two Sefer Torahs. Arizal's yeshiva, one written by best sefer today's active best sefer, Breslov, who wrote the first Sefer Torah for Arizal yeshiva Yerushalmi. Then he wrote the second Sefer Torah for the Midian in Viron, for especially for the Shoshana in Kippur. The Shoshana. That's a very big zechus. It was done with the monies that were assembled before he came here, but it was done with this group, let's say members of this group, past or present. And of course, putting it, the difference in price. This Sefer Torah, these two are undoubtedly the best ones in the world today. The world. And at the time, remember we paid, for the first one we paid 10,000 pounds, the second one 12,000 pounds, I was going way up already, 12,000 pounds. Today, 10,000 and 12,000, this was going for the highest price Sefer Torah. If you got one for less than half the price then. Today, the simplest Sefer Torah, without any fancy things, really not this one, but the regular, lowest is about 25,000 pounds, lowest. Get one like this today would be at least 60,000 pounds. At least 60,000 pounds, but that time paying 12 or raising 2,000 was a big thing. The big Messiah's nefesh, but it was done. I recall the simcha bringing it in, and also filling in the last letter, meaning call yourself. And we should be zeichet to fulfill this mitzvah Hashem, where we once, I would say more directly, possibly at least the biggest simcha, no question about it, the simcha of being able to get the Sefer Torah for our group here, the Sefer that we use, that was specifically shade covered the Arizal. You see the mental has that Sefer too. We got, of course, it's a youth Sefer Torah, but it's a very excellent staff, especially there too was a big source we had. Everyone in the group contributed to buying it. We filled inside the few letters, but we hope that this will have our own shul soon. We'll need at least another 1 or 2 Sefer Torahs. To all fulfill this mitzvah b'shminas. Learn the Sefer Torah, learn the condition to fulfill every one of the mitzvahs of the Torah. In turn, we should receive all the brachas of the Torah.
We're waiting to get an app soon. We hope that the chas will get there. Strong Shem will carry him a little. It's fasting, you know. Fasting a long time. You got this morning, fasting last night, or when you fasting too. Fasting already. We're a little nervous, but we're encouraging with this meeting. We hear it soon. We don't want the impression this is like a funeral there. The simcha, real simcha. At least one person is happy. The Jew should always be happy to make somebody else happy. Some of these husbands should learn about that, making their wives happy. This week and next week, this show is going to confine the halachas to Hilchos Pesach as is legal. So, to go over in detail more, that which we learned yesterday, we just started the topic, but more in detail. The din of Bikul Chametz. Right before the Pesach, the din is that we invited the Chametz, we search the Chametz, and the time for searching the Chametz is as early as possible after dark. Not to waste time after dark. You finish Malad, you go home, you prepare the house with the chametz crumbs, and go into the biggest chametz immediately. You're not allowed to eat or do any kind of work before the biggest chametz. And if you're forced to invade the chametz late, some places they go wild with cleaning. You have to have the house all clean when you do the biggest chametz. Clean and repaired, everything, so because it's still late in doing that, they go on into late hours, you cannot eat then. So you have to eat before it gets dark. And hold off until you finish the biggest chametz. Best of a person could be a zoniz, he's one who possesses a degree of efficiency, expeditious efficiency, and he could be on time. Make the biggest chametz the night time is the early time rather than late. In fact, if the daylight savings time is late enough. In order to be ready chametz, you must have a candle. And this candle has the exact opposite halacha of a Havdalah candle. You use an Havdalah candle, you're not Yetzer at all. The Havdalah candle has more than one. This must be a candle with one single wick. The reason for it is obvious, because a candle with more than one wick becomes a torch. The purpose of using this candle is to search into all the crevices where no regular light would not penetrate. Even if it was done by day, in a place where there is sunlight, you still have to use a candle, because you're getting onto the deep corners where the light would not reach. So that's why we use this candle for the clearing out of the chametz. These are speaks about the posek Yidei, the mitzvah, the Torah, that the candle is considered, is called a mitzvah. Mitzvahs. Torah is called a means daylight, sunlight. Big light is the Torah. Mitzvahs is the kiruv. So, Arizal says that even if you have the big light of the Torah, you still must have the light of the mitzvahs too. Arizal brings that in the Tikuney Zohar. Arizal says that the tzadik, who is zeichet to reach the highest achievement, the highest attainment of understanding of the purpose, the kavonas behind the mitzvahs, in a heavenly form, the highest heavenly form possible for him, he is still not exempt from performing the mitzvahs in a simple manner, just as the lowliest person. Let's say that the tzaddik understands the deepest secret kavonas of the mitzvah itself. Understand how in the heavenly world exactly what happens. Mentally, he can perform all these things, changing the worlds around, elevating one world to the next, bringing the malchus up to the keser and so on, changing all the things around. Even if he knows all that, he still must take the physical children, put them on the same as any other person. Nobody's exempt from that. Nobody can really delve into the full understanding, the full concept of the mitzvahs themselves, if that's part of Hashem himself. So where do we search into the corners of what? The kiruv halev. We search into the corners of the heart, to clean out the yisurim, the chametz in the heart, above all the chametz of the bad thoughts. The bigger chametz is one of the bad thoughts, the shortcoming, a lack in emunah. The person thinks that he has emunah. You ask the person, do you believe in Hashem? Will say, of course. What's the problem? What's the question? Of course I believe in Hashem. But each person asks himself that question, and then let his conscience be his guide. We'll see how he's lying. He's lying. Absolute lie if he's honest with himself. Proof? The old proof. You're driving a car. You get to the corner. You see a red light. You see a cop standing there. You won't go through the red light. If you're tempted to go through, you make sure there's no cop first. Then you glide through. You sneak through. The cop is standing there. You will not dare to go through that red light. Now, that's a cop standing there. When it comes to a minor sin, major sin, any kind of a sin, the wrong thing that people do constantly with all the faith they claim they have. They're about to do something wrong. They're about to skip something you're supposed to do during the day. Take a minute out for learning, and instead you want to go do something else that's wrong. And you look around and there's no cop there. Now, if you would have as much faith in Hashem, you have a habit with a cop. Hashem is watching you. You believe in Hashem. You believe Hashem is watching you. How could you commit this act, which is wrong? If a cop was there, you wouldn't be doing this. A person was there, you wouldn't be doing it. Anybody would see you avoid doing this act. But yet Hashem is watching you, you're still doing it. That shows there's a definite lack of degree of faith. This is the real coming to the person's heart. Clean out this chametz, clean out this kiruv, denial of true faith in Hashem, with the aid of this candle which is mitzvahs. Torah, the mitzvahs, like mitzvahs, this true tzadik chametz. Zechet to clear out this chametz out of our hearts, zechet to receive the truth, the light of Hashem, unhindered, all its clarity, with the coming of Mashiach. Tzadik, amen.
Because chametz, we said you're supposed to use a candle with one wick, because if he has more than one wick, then he'll be afraid to put it into the deep corners. So that the chametz goes in that yetzer with the nabuka torch. It's the opposite, we said, of what the law is by the Abdullah, You're supposed to investigate all the rooms. Of course, to start then is impossible. So therefore, the search for this chametz, the search and destroy, seek and destroy, wipe out all chametz begins much before then, and that should be the climax, the culmination. Put a few 10 little crumbs of chametz, 10 pieces. Be careful those 10 are placed in a spot where they can be gotten to easily without any drops falling off. A person can do more harm with that than good, see to it that it should be easily accessible, get to it to put aside. All corners, all places must be searched through, especially the clothing pockets of children, those who have small children who are accustomed to putting food in their pockets. Those tiny corners inside the pockets, through the weeks and months, there accumulates some drops of food. This is, above all, the point about chametz is that it's lusa b'adam b'yanish. A person doesn't concentrate. You don't think about this chametz during the year. You don't think you're doing something wrong because it's permissible, 100% mutter. So without thinking it all, you do things, you put it away in certain places, you hide. A person has on a diet, they hide something for they can get to it. Corner, you'd never think of going to look for it, do you? So you wake up to find, you find, I found a chocolate bar inside the back corner of the refrigerator. Treasure. Years of treasure. Chas v'sholom in Pesach. It's no treasure anymore. It's a takoa. That's why you've got to be careful to search out through all the places, all the hidden places wherever possible. Those places where you can sell, closets you can sell, so we said there is a days that you have to search through. Kitzur Shalom, for instance, is one of those days. He says you absolutely must search through every single corner of those closets. They're going to be sold too. You gotta know what you got there. As we said, we have some of the other place are more lenient because it depends upon the individual. For some people, this is exeter shef laminva. Yet some people will have cluttered closets. Some have cluttered homes, cluttered brains, things that are very hard to disassemble. But you get some of these, what they call junk drawers or cluttered closets that are filled with stuff for, like recluses keep during the years. Grandfather stuff, you don't start taking that apart, you might as well give up. It's much easier to put a match to it, make real chametz instead of previous chametz. So, in case of that, we are we're allowed to leave it unsearched, unexamined, and to sell the entire thing, lock, stock, and barrel. Let the guy worry about it. Or they say, let the rabbi worry about it. It's his heading. Before you start making this predika, make the bracha, Asher Kiddushim V'Tzav Al Biyah Chametz, Al Biyah Chametz, even though now it's no time for Biyah, now it's only B'dika Biyah next morning, but this is the beginning of the act. Beginning and it ends with the Biyah. Person, when he makes his bracha, should not be mafsek after the bracha at least till he starts making the first examination, the first predika, and if possible, to avoid a hefsek until he finishes the whole house. And it's interesting to note that Rav Nosson Zohar, it's written about Rav Nosson Zohar that when he would his chametz, this specifically is said his diseases, the way he did it with deep concentration, speed, going from room to room, making this, hurrying his son along by his side, that it was a rare case, it was one in the world, the fiery kavod he put into it. Remember that this is perhaps the only bracha that exists that you say once a year, exactly once a year, of the chametz. Do you recall another one? Yes. Once a year. Bracha, yeah. You say it 7 times, 7 days. This bracha, I think, offhand, just about the only bracha that's what's special about it. You say it once a year, that's it. Okay. What else can you record? Say once a year. Just go. Only the head of the house. They don't say just one person. They can think. And the chametz that you put aside to eat, that's a special process. It's done there. We'll take that to knowledge. And it's a very important point about the question about the fact that you are searching for chametz. This is done before supper. Right? It means that your chametz supper is lying there on a table someplace. And you're going around with the candle. You find that supper that goes into the sack. What happens to that? It requires special maneuvering, special ways of manipulating this thing. We'll discuss that tomorrow. You got to be sharp on your toes. You should be to be sharp, be good, to really be mevayed, chametz, shemalayim, chametz nisa, yidibed Hashem, yidibed v'yidal, yidibed v'shalom, yidibed v'yidal. Amen. The night of B'digas chametz, the person is allegedly supposed to search out and destroy every last vestige of chametz in his house. And yet, he's going to eat a meal after that. Remember that the B'digas chametz ritual takes place before supper. You're not supposed to eat before B'digas chametz. So there, somewhere in the kitchen, the pantry, his illustrious, dedicated, devoted wife has left his supper for him. He's supposed to look for it, find the chametz and destroy it. What happens to that chametz that remains for then? Well, for some people who foolishly leave chametz out for the next morning's breakfast too, and make the chametz after breakfast. The answer is that this chametz, before he starts the B'digas chametz, should be placed at a certain spot where he knows, set aside for this reason alone. It should be covered very well. It should be covered well where he does not see it, cannot be seen. And then he could bypass it in his search for chametz. He doesn't have to uncover that which is not seen. He's now supposed to look for that which is on the surface. The next morning, the chametz is for everything that is seen or not seen. This night, when he finishes the act of B'digas chametz, he then makes the statement called Chamida v'Chamiyah. Every bit of chametz, the chamite which I saw, should become that is which I have not seen, should become destroyed like dust. The next morning, when he says Kol Chamida after burning the chametz, then he says that which I have seen and not seen, everything becomes one. The next morning's Biyah chametz, according to the Machlekes in the Gemara, what you're supposed to do with the chametz, it has to be destroyed. Some will say, the chametz say that you can take this chametz and crush it into small crumbs and throw it into the ocean, the sea. You understand, it is surely hefker. Yehuda says, it's the custom that we burn it. This is a memory of the din of Nesar. Nesar means that when you have a korban, the korban has a limited time. Every korban has a certain limit as to how long a person may eat from the meat of this korban. It's not indefinite, you can't save it. Limited time how long you can eat from this korban. This din of Nesar, if a person does not eat from the korban in that restricted time, Nesar means it remained past that time, that can never be eaten again. And we did that now, a crime has been committed. A person has committed a crime, leaving over the meat of the korban past the designated time. How to correct that crime is by burning the Nesar, burning that meat that remained. only correction for a crime is a lav and a crime that is attached to a mitzvah, the mitzvah erases the crime. Then leave it over, you can erase it by performing the mitzvah of burning it. And therefore, here we have this chametz, which is now Yisur, like Mesa. The custom is to burn it. Though the Yehuda is one against the Aharon, the custom is to burn it like in Yehuda said. Not only that, but of course nowadays we don't have it anymore, but you cannot use an oven to burn it in, or an incinerator. It must be done outside, like a chuppah in the sky. It must be done out in a chutzah, in a yard, street, regular bonfire, or as a forest fire. It could take down buildings as we once really had. You have one in a regular can, it's a metal can, and there the fire is confined. Again, the metal can is dangerous too. It's a hollow fire again, it's 7-11. You can feel that. Because the can had holes in the bottom. The flames were looking out from the holes at the grass. And this was a very special, strange kind of grass. What they call grass today. This caught fire. And it was a conflagration. The whole field started lit up. The buildings next to them were threatened. Yet the fire department was in no hurry to extinguish it. We understood this was grass. They were anxious to have it. They were sort of grateful that this fire had begun. That's what you call really burning the chametz. In any event, it's better to not take any risks. Fires are known to be. The power of fire is very great. It's very good when the fire is a servant, not when it's a master, it goes out of control. This is the ritual then for the morning at a Pesach. This should be done up till the time that is prescribed. In other words, until 10 o'clock. This year, you have eventually a few minutes extra, maybe an hour actually, because of daylight savings. Not sure what their idea is. It's best to stick to the original Zman. Now, if a person, has cleaned his house, so forth, everything was done right, then what happens if a Zman shouldn't happen any jail, but it happens every Pesach, he finds that there's a piece of chametz, an actual piece of chametz, somehow was overlooked, was stuck between the dishes or whatever these things could be. He finds a piece of chametz in his house. What is he supposed to do with it? That chametz is muktzah. His muktzah cannot be touched on Yontif. It's in the first 2 days of Yontif, the last 2 days. You cannot touch it. You're not supposed to see it. You're supposed to take a dish, turn the dish upside down, burn it, and cover this chametz until Yontif, first days of Yontif end, until Chol Moed comes, or until the end of Yontif. Then he takes this chametz and he burns it without a bracha. Bracha, he might see this. And this rule applies to all days. All the rule applies to all, whether it's Chol Moed or whether it's after Yontif. There are a number of days. Each of them are very strong sides on both sides. 2 cases. One, if we say the bracha for the chametz again. This, of course, is only if there's a large enough size. There's a kazayas, chunk, so that there's a little drop. Only out of that. Secondly, if on the second day of Yontif, a person is allowed to burn the chametz. In the first day will be a little shy, because after all, you're allowed to use fire on Yontif. Would you be allowed to burn the chametz? There are days insist if you're allowed to. Of course, it's much more comfortable to burn it, get it out. On the other hand, there are days which say you're not allowed to. It's very difficult to go against those strong days, especially when you can be a shed on tassel. Tassel, where you can cover it by all the days. So, best answer is then try to cover it. If it's what you find it on Chol HaMoed, no question about it, then you take it out, you burn it. If you find it on Inta, then keep it covered until the moment Inta is over, until the light comes or until the last day Inta is over, take it out, set fire to it, destroy it. Best thing, of course, without a bracha, it's covered there too. It's sort of a person could make a bracha if there's a big piece watering his eyes. Good, it's optional, it's the way the person feels about it. I think it is that the person should observe it, each one should observe it to clean out the thoroughly, not to have this